Hello, everyone.
Hello, welcome and welcome back.
Yes, we are TCS Everyday Psychics and the Conscious Spirit Podcast.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
We are.
And I'm Pam.
I'm Mari-Lyn.
Yes, we haven't done that for a long time.
I think you're right.
I'm sure there are people wondering, they have no idea which is which one of us is which one, if you're just listening. Yeah. But, yeah.
Well, no. I suppose if they're just listening, they don't even know what we look like.
No, have no clue. That could be good. Yay. Y'all should listen more. Yeah.
I just want to say that's just a really weird concept to me that people are listening to us. People tune in to watch us.
Yes.
What an amazing job we have.
Were not, yes. And we were not raised
with technology.
Thank you. Sorry. Yes, I was trying to do something at the same time.
No, we were not raised with technology.
Remember, it was like high school. They had the computers. There were those huge computers that you sat on, and they had DOS, and they had like.
No, I did not have computers in high school.
Oh, okay. Well, it was at the end. It was like my junior, senior year. You're just a few years older than I am, so they came in right after you left. Yes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, crazy. Anyway, so then for us to be doing this when we have zero background, really, with this is really something.
It's just crazy, mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so for all of you who tuned in because you saw the title, which we're not sure what the title is at this point, but we want to welcome you in, and we will get to that conversation. We had sort of a conversation before we hit record, and that was about when some people, we were talking about, let's say we got fired from a job. We're going to use that as a whatever.
Yeah.
Got fired from a job. Some of us would be really angry that we weren't the ones. Like, how did I not see this coming? I would have left if I would have known.
And why didn't I leave? Why did I stay so long?
Yeah.
That would be me. Okay, that was me. That was a long time ago.
Because you can't get fired now.
That was a long time ago.
You have to fire yourself now.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So how do we know? So if we get there's always a lesson in everything, right? Always something we can learn. But how do we know that spirit didn't just move you? Like, this wasn't working out. So spirit, what's coming up now for me is I stayed in a job way longer. Like, spirit had been telling me for months, time to get out, time to get out, time to get out, time to leave. I started really disliking going to work. Things just weren't working out. I was in a constant pity party. Like, it just wasn't. And oh, gross. I convinced myself that this huge company could not survive without me. Which is hilarious.
Been there.
Yes. As if they can't, I leave, everything's going to fall apart and everything, like, yep. Come on.
I can remember nobody knows how to do my job. I have job security.
I am so special.
Oops.
Yeah. And just so you know, all you out there who are thinking, well, that might not have been true for you, but it's true for me, because everyone can be replaced.
Everyone.
I'm not saying that it's always going to be easy to replace someone. However, you can be replaced and you will be replaced. If it's not your, well, even some people who thought it was their company and they had a board of directors or something happen and whatever. Anyway, but when you're, you know, I mean, everyone can be replaced. And I do look at, I mean, I suppose you could have done something like you could have stolen from the company or, you know, something really egregious, a felony. And so they had to fire you. But if you were fired for some other reasons, like you just weren't getting along with everyone, or, you know, whatever the lame reason is they tell you, because sometimes they just want you gone because you don't get along with the manager or whatever. You know, it's really a blessing. Spirit just moved you out of a situation that had run its course. And I think that's something that I think we stay past our welcome, or whatever that saying is.
Yeah. So it's either run its course or there's something else waiting for you.
Yes.
And there's no reason to let it run its course.
Right.
Sometimes spirit has to move us so we can take the opportunity that's out there. We may not even know it's staring us in the face.
Because you know what? Spirit knows better than we do.
I
don't always like to think that. I like to think that I know myself better than anyone, or I know it's better. No.
And you said something a minute ago. How do we know where the lesson is?
Yeah. Yes.
Sometimes we don't even know until hindsight, right?
Oh, till years later. Like
years later.
Oh, that was that lesson and I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it. It's really about trusting spirit.
But that's easy to do when you are in the midst of life.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? You're in the midst of life, which means you're probably in the midst of wounding.
Yes.
And you're taking lessons on what, just by happenstance.
Yes.
Right? All these lessons are out here and you're just going, okay, I'll take this one. I'm batting that one away.
Yes.
Because that's what we do. I guess that's what we have to do.
Also, this comes up. We did a podcast on this a long time ago about they didn't leave you. Spirit moved them.
Spirit moved them.
Right?
With people.
With people. Same thing happens with situations.
Yeah.
And jobs that they didn't. You were done there. You were done, and you were just, your human self, your ego was just hanging on for dear life for whatever reason is that you felt you needed to stay there. And there's so many different reasons. And sometimes, she's laughing now.
Every job I've had, my ego was so out of control at the time I left.
Oh, yes.
Every single time. I just got this.
Yeah. Yes. And isn't that how we protect ourselves?
Wow.
Because it's hard to look in and say, okay, because sometimes that lesson is we have some wounding or we have something we seriously need to look at. Right?
Finding some humility.
Yes.
But then that's my lesson, right? That is my big thing.
Yes. In this lifetime. We have major lessons in this lifetime that we've come many a lifetime to learn.
Yes.
It's not our first, not our first rodeo on some of these.
There is a term that you use for those big things, and I'm like blank on it.
Apparently I am too. I'm not hearing it either, or I'm not getting it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Enough about me.
The mastery. What you're trying to master.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
So a mastery is something, it's that one area. Sometimes there's more than one. Because we can have different masteries going on in our lifetime. A mastery is something that no matter what the hell you do, you always bump up against it. And you never seem to be able to heal that frickin' thing. And sometimes you do, sometimes like one of my masteries in this I had for many a lifetime was just dignity. And I was able to master that in this lifetime. However, I still have to master self-love and worth. So step one, check. But there's more masteries.
Yeah.
More masteries there. But it's that thing that constantly comes up. And it's how we look at the world too. It's how we look at, I just had someone, this is coming up now, so I'm going to talk about it. It's not the first time this has ever happened, but I have a new student who's been wanting to be a student of mine for a long time. And it actually was, she was fine being on the waiting list for a while. That made her feel okay. It was like, okay, that way I'm not really a student, but I'm kind of there. And then when, you know, ding, 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 hello, it's time, you're next up, kind of freaked her out a bit. But part of what happened was she has someone else. She had this other person that she was working with. And she felt really guilty. Like, how was she going to tell this person? How was she going to stop with this person?
Mm-hmm.
And well, your new teacher just showed up. So that has run its course. And and every one of us who is a teacher, someone needs to hear this. And again, that happens sometimes. I don't know who I'm speaking to. Your teacher shows up when you're ready. And not every teacher, I am fortunate. I have people in my life, I have students in my life who will forever be with me. And I am very honored. But there are a hell of a lot of them who are not. I was just one teacher in the long road and their long journey. And I'm okay with that. So every teacher knows that you're not going to be around forever. It's just part of it. You outgrow people. And I was only in your life for a short time because there was something you needed from me, but whatever you're mastering, or whether it's you know, a gift type mastery or an emotional type mastery, whatever it is, I was able to move you ahead, pardon me, that little bit, and then I'm done. And it's spirit decides that. Just spirit takes people from your life and brings other people in. But someone need to hear that about the teachery thing, that it's okay. It's the way it is. And those of us who are teachers know that. Even doctors, therapists, whoever you go to, change. You can change if you need to change. And then you get Mari-Lyn, I made her go see some other teachers. She kicked and screamed the whole time. She did not like it, but she did, and she learned some things. Mm-hmm. But it was good. It's good to sort of have that variety, to understand what's out there, to learn what's out there.
It is. I mean, it's good for so many different reasons, right? Because you always learn different perspectives. You get to experience different perspectives, and that sometimes helps you form your own.
Yes.
But it also gives you so much variety on what's out there that you can now choose kind of what you don't want. Like process of elimination. Okay, I know that is not a route I want to go. Ooh, I know that is not a style I want to develop.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My nose itches. It rained earlier today.
Yes.
And my nose itches so bad.
Yes. And those of us with mold allergies, the rain just opens up those mold spores on the trees and woof. Yeah.
Yep. So I do apologize. And I did have my antihistamine.
Yes. So knowing what you don't want is extremely important.
It's so important.
Yeah. Yes.
It is so important.
And I know I've talked about this. I have gone to some classes. It was just, I was cussing at Fred the whole time. Like, why the F did you have me here? What is going on? And I think every time he said, because you don't want to be that teacher. Because that's not what you want. Like it was so clear. I mean, of course, once he said it, it was clear, but I was so pissed at him. But
right.
I know what I don't want to do. And there are things that I will not do today because it's just moronic in my
I learned some really valuable ethical boundaries from going to see someone else.
Yes.
And you know, when you're being taught something and you're like, this is not okay. This does not feel right. This is like, no.
Yeah.
You listen to that.
Yeah.
Listen to your intuition.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are being taught from. Yes. If it doesn't feel right, then it's not.
And when someone, let's say someone breaks up with you or leaves or you get fired or something happens, instead of focusing on that, try to see it for what it really is. Spirit's moving you. You are ready to do something different. You are ready to move up. You are ready to manifest something new. You are ready for a leveling up. And when we choose to not see it that way, we're going to get the same crap again. And we're not going to learn. So,
because it's going to do that vicious circle. It's going to come right back around. Yep. You're going to be given another opportunity to do it differently. And if you don't do it differently, it's going to end the same way and it's going to come back around.
Yes.
And it's going to happen over and over.
Yes.
And over
again. So what is the lesson there? So even though Spirit moved you or moved that person or got you out of there, whatever it was, you now know what you don't want.
Yep.
I guess that could be the lesson, right? The lesson could be, I now know what I don't want to be, or I don't want to do, or I now know what's unhealthy for me. So maybe that's what sorry, y'all, we're kind of working this out as we're going along talking. Which is kind of what we do.
What's coming is sometimes it's not so important to know what the lesson is, but that there is a lesson.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes it's quite obvious what the lesson is. It's like, boom, in your face. Sometimes we might not know what it is, but if we can open up our perspective and expand our vision beyond our own self-pity, then we can see, oh, okay, there's a lesson here. I don't know what that lesson is right now.
I don't know.
There's a lesson here. And recognizing that there's a lesson can help you to change your perspective and open up to then hopefully maybe recognize what the lesson is.
Right.
Maybe you're not even going to recognize what the lesson is until you find that opportunity has come back around.
Yes.
That opportunity has come back around and you're like ready to step into it. Hopefully you're going to go, whoa, wait a minute. That water doesn't feel quite right. Oh, what was my lesson? My lesson is no.
So
thanks, no thanks.
What about if we look at the things we tell ourselves as...
You mean like lies?
No, well, kind of, yes. Yes, those old programs, those old loops that go around in our head. Wow, I must be a piece of shit. Wow, this was my fault. What did I do wrong?
Oh, those acquired thoughts.
Those acquired thoughts. If those acquired thoughts come every time, and they're pretty much the same ones.
Yes.
There's a lesson there for you. There's some wounding, there's some trauma, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You hear us talk about that. For me, I don't always catch it right away. But as soon as I start saying, well, I'm just sort of worthless. I can't do that. Other people are better at this than I am. So I guess I should just give up. Mine was always go to giving up. And once I sort of that light bulb moment, I go, oh, that's what I always tell myself. And then you could start going down that path. That's what I always tell myself. I always say that I'm not worthy, that I can't do it. Someone else is better. So this must be that loop. This must be that acquired thinking that directly is with acquired feeling as well. You know, they loop together, those two, they get intertwined. So we feel it and everything. So if we can stand back and objectively, or just be the fly on the wall and look at what just happened, where our thoughts went, where our feelings went, how did we respond to what happened? That can be the lesson there. That's very often the lesson, and where we can really take a bad situation and make it a really good situation. Because being fired, being broken up with, whatever that is, not getting something that you thought you were going to get, whatever that, and it falls through at the last moment. It's painful. It is. And we're not trying to say that those things aren't painful, because they are. However, you know, you get a day or two to wallow in it, and then it's time to start, depending on how big the thing was. But then at some point, it's time you need to kind of back up and look at it. Like, okay, where's the pattern? There is a pattern, because I guarantee you there will be a pattern. Maybe the situation was different, but your pattern of thinking and feeling was exactly the same. Exactly the same. And that's when you look at it, or that's what you look at, I should say. And
I think it's
really helped direct you.
It's so important that you included a feeling in that.
Yes.
Because sometimes the feeling is so much bigger than the thought.
Yes.
Like for me, not always, but sometimes my go-to feeling is shame.
Yes.
And when shame hits, sometimes there's no thought with that immediately. It's like everything goes on shutdown, and the thoughts come afterwards. So it's really important that feeling piece was included in that.
Yes.
And if that feeling of shame, or I don't care what the feeling is, when that repeatedly hits you and it takes over, it's really time to look at that. And is it equal to what the circumstance was?
Right.
And is it really yours to feel?
Correct.
Yes. Because a lot of times that shame hits, and I'm not the one that should feel shame at all.
Right.
It's the other person.
Right.
And I'm not a big proponent of shame, but sometimes, people should feel shame.
Have you no shame?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There are certain things that feeling of shame is telling that
you've
done something that is so against what your higher good is.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about wallowing in shame. I don't think anybody should be like shamed as a person, but
many of us have been.
Oh boy.
We talk about that.
But being able to step back and to look at those feelings. It's important, because so many people want to shut that part down and just go with.
Yes. And go to, I hate that person. I hate that. You go to the hate, you go to the anger, you find all the things wrong with that person, or that, whatever it was that happened. There's usually a person that you directed all at, and you sit there and you try to figure out what's wrong, there's whatever. when really we need to stop and just step away from it and look at it like a fly on the wall. Just get the clarity in it. Stop beating yourself up. Don't beat someone else up. Don't go to that place, because that's learned behavior, by the way. That's us trying to make ourselves feel better by making someone else look bad or feel whatever it is.
Excuse me. So you're talking about looking at it without judgment.
Yes. Yes.
That's hard.
Without judgment. It's very hard.
It's really hard.
And that's something that we try and practice. Let's try to see this without judging. If you are on the outside looking in at this happening to someone else or whatever, however you need to do that, what would you say to that person? Or what is the truth here? And it's really about, I guess, what just came up is taking responsibility. We need to take responsibility for our own actions, for our own wounds, and not take it out on other people. And Spirit's always trying to do what's best for us. Yes.
Taking responsibility, again, without judgment.
Without judgment, yeah.
It's, man.
Whew.
Yeah. Spirit's talking to me right now. Taking responsibility without judgment.
Yeah.
And that judgment piece, I think, I'm going to say for me, there was so much judgment in responsibility, the way I grew up. You take responsibility, and that comes with judgment.
Yes.
And those kinds of learned behaviors are really difficult to understand how to break.
Yes.
To even understand, what does judgment even mean?
And our body devas hold on to those memories.
Yes.
So our physical body, everyone's heard of muscle memory.
Yep.
Those things get settled into our bodies remember.
Yep.
And that's oftentimes where it'll first come, like it can first come as a feeling, and my ego immediately jumps onto that and says, oh, I know what that is. I need to feel shame right now. When it's muscle memory, cell memory, I mean, it gets way down. If you
in there.
Yeah. Yes. Have you ever seen, those are so fascinating, and they can be so, oh my gosh, seen those diagrams of a person, and it has all those little points on it. If you hurt here, it's because of this. If you hurt here, it's because of this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You like, your mother was it, or you're feeling shame, or you're feeling guilt, or you're feeling this or that. Amazing how accurate some of those are.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you have ever seen those diagrams, but it's incredibly accurate at times. Why your lower back on the right hurts, or why your, why your right shoulder hurts, or what your left ear, or whatever. Like, there's all these reasons, and it comes, yes.
Oh, I was just thinking, I kind of want to look one of those up, and I want to see how many different places they say shame shows up.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because for me, it's in multiple places.
Yes. And other things are attached to it sometimes too.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here thinking, because I do Deva work, and where people hold on to stuff, and I help the body let go of it and release it. And so I was just thinking about the shame. Nothing's coming to me right away about where shame is held.
Well, it came up for me because talking about shame triggers shame. It triggers that feeling. And I can tell you, it goes across my shoulder blades. It goes down my back, and it hits my solar plexus. That space right between, like, the bottom, the lower rib cage. Yep.
Yeah. Huh.
It's so sad that just talking about shame triggers that feeling.
Yes. I was not triggered. Thank you very much. Thank you, Spirit.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So
triggers are dumb.
Yeah, I know. And fear, let me tell you, you can either, we've talked about this a lot too. You can either live in fear all the time and think everyone's out to get you. Because usually that's not usually, it's always what fear does. Different people express it differently, but fear means someone's trying to hurt you. Right? I mean, most of the time, even if it's, oh, I'm a piece of shit, I can't do anything right, or that was triggered because someone else sort of in quotes made you feel that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that was weird.
We just got cut off.
It's like everything's shut down.
Yes.
So
we're not sure, or I'm not sure exactly where we were, but I know we were talking about fear.
Yep.
And how I think I was saying about how it feels like people are out.
Yes.
To get us or something.
People are out to get us, which they aren't.
No.
Maybe 0.003% of the time.
It can happen. Please don't hate us.
But
it can happen.
Generally speaking, nobody's out to get us. But what happens, correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but
absolutely,
I've experienced this. What happens is we get in that fear and that paranoia starts building that someone's out to get us. And what actually happens is we are out to get ourselves. We turn against ourselves.
We do. Yes.
And it's so, I mean, talk about self-sabotage and self-destruction.
Yes. And that's,
we don't mean to, but.
And that's the craziness of fear, right? Is you really start to believe that people are out to get you. Like whoever this person is, that you got triggered by this person, and we go to that place of, oh, they did it on purpose. They meant to do it.
Yes.
They're out to get me.
They're out to get me.
And, really, people for the most part are all up in their own shit, and they're not really thinking, we really don't mean that much to them. Or if we do, it's sort of imagined, like someone will imagine,
like a false reality.
Yes, like you're out to get them, so they're going to get you first, when really that's all your own triggering, and you're crazy, and then you trigger the next person, and it's this whole cluster F.
It is a cluster.
I love that paranoia.
It's a mess.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, that can result in like self-fulfilling prophecies.
Woof. Yep.
Like,
man,
I knew that person was out to get me. See what they did, but the reality is, I did it.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything to me.
No.
I did it all. And if they did do something, chances are I found a behavior that was going to result in them doing what they did. Oh my God, that sounded convoluted. I hope that was followable. I do something that I know their reaction is going to be this person doing something that's going to hurt me.
Yes.
And so there is a self-fulfilled prophecy.
Yes, that can happen. Now, please know that we are not talking about real abuse victims.
No.
We are not talking about that at all. There are very horrible people out there that do really try to hurt other people. Their life is about, especially if it's an intimate relationship. There's a lot of that type of abuse where one person really is. Please know that we're not talking about that. That is a whole different beast in itself. We are talking about the everyday wounding that all of us have, that cycle that we get into, that old thoughts that adopted thinking, that rolls around in our head and thinking, and that comes from our own traumas. So please know that there is we do know that there's a difference there.
Absolutely.
And no one, if you are in an abusive relationship and you know it's abuse, and you will know, we try to tell ourselves all kinds of things that we're not actually in it, and we're so confused, especially when there's all that gaslighting and you're made to feel crazy. That's all real, and we are so sorry, and we hope you reach out to someone for help with
absolutely
that. Hopefully you can get away. So please note, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the everyday crap. Like
the everyday bullshit grind.
Like every time I get a job, everyone hates me. Okay,
what's the constant factor in that?
Yes. What's the common ingredient in that recipe? Yes, that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. When we sabotage ourselves.
Oof.
Yeah, a lot of sabotage.
Do a lot.
Amen. I know. I do. Yes, we do. And so I was going to say, and no matter how much healing you've done, and I do want to say this, actually, the more healing you do, the farther in what I would call emotional sobriety. That's the term that just came.
Oh, yes. Love that. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Spirit. Emotional sobriety. Things do get easier. We don't get triggered as often. We don't get paranoid as often. We are able to see things for what they really are. We start raising our vibration. People, we always talk about like attracts like. The right people start attracted to us, and us to them, and we have better relationships, etc. We still have wounding to deal with, though. We still can jump down rabbit holes, and we still can do all that. However, when you're not consciously healing all the time, and it's an everyday thing, it's exhausting. So worth it, but exhausting. That's what you're constantly on that roller coaster. And it's the same thoughts day in and day out. They might change with the person, or change with the job, or the situation, or whatever. And as we always say, fear just lies to us. It just lies. But it does. Back to that trauma and that wounding that we experienced as children. So really, when we are abused, let's say at 3 years old, some traumatic thing happened or whatever, we stop emotionally growing at that point. That's where, like, that soul piece, where we lose a soul piece, and there's this big hole, and we have to learn how to walk around that hole, and how to sort of fill that gap, how to wear those masks, how to try to protect ourselves and keep ourselves safe. And we're not a whole person there. And so later in life, even at 50, 60, 70, whatever age you are, you get triggered, you go back to that 3-year-old. And you're trying to deal with adult issues with a 3-year-old intellect. And that is just, it just can't happen.
No, it really can't.
No. And we've all seen or been in that place when that 3-year-old hits, and you freak out over a situation, and the people standing around are going, what is happening? Why? Or, oh my gosh, why can't you just let go of that? Why? That's a one. Why can't you let go? Yes.
Because wounding is like one of those 4 hook fish hooks.
Oh, yes, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, those it's one, but it's got those 4 hooks, right? That gets stuck in your arm.
Yep.
You can't just let go.
No.
It's impossible.
You can't yank it.
You cannot yank it out.
No,
you
can't
will
push it through.
Destroy your arm.
Yes. You
have
to dissolve it through understanding the wounding and healing. Yeah. That would be
yeah. If it was real, right, you'd have to take so much care in that backing it out.
Yeah.
If we could dissolve it, that'd be so much better.
Yeah.
And with wounding, we can, in a sense, dissolve it.
Yeah, definitely a term that comes up a lot. And there's many factors as you know, when you're healing, you have your ego, you have the intellect, you have all those loops that are going around, right, in your head. You also have the emotions tied to it. You have the energetic pieces. There are so many pieces.
I want to say, when you say emotions tied to it, that sounds like one clump, and it's not.
That's true.
Each individual emotion,
has its own tie to it.
It has its own tie, so it's not just one.
Or the lack of emotion that isn't even there, that you just cut off.
That too. Yeah.
There's so many moving parts.
So many.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and all of that fear. So,
So, how do we keep from letting the fear turn into paranoia?
Yes.
Because I have many times in my life fallen into that paranoia. And it's like we tell ourselves a story that's so inaccurate.
Very inaccurate.
And sometimes I don't even know where we come up with the
I know, right?
With the ideas.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, when we were 3, 4, 5 years old, I mean, you know, even if, and even if, like, some of you are saying, yeah, but I was 25 when this horrific thing happened. Yes, you were. And that's obviously, wounding can happen there too. However, the way you deal with it every time, and I'm talking every time, no matter what happened to the person as an adult, we can trace it all the way back to childhood. There's always some string within that, some hook within that ties you back to some trauma in your childhood. Every time. Not just once in a while.
Every time. And it doesn't have to be huge.
No. There are different levels.
When we are little, little things happen. Affect us. Have a massive effect on us. Stupid word. Anyways. It can be a little thing that makes a big difference to a little person. It really, really can.
We don't understand. We don't have the brain power. We're all emotion then. Before of age like 7, we're all emotion.
We're all emotion. So when you were talking about that, we emotionally stop growing. What came to my mind was that happens with addiction. And you fall into your addiction at, a young age, and you do stop emotionally growing. And that makes so much sense hearing you talk about the wounding. And what I'm seeing happening is the alcoholic. That's what I am, so that's what I go to, right? The alcoholic, they start drinking at 18.
Just tossing out a number there. Yep.
Tossing out a number, 18. They start drinking at 18 and they're not evolving as all the other 18-year-olds. However, the reason they're drinking in the first place is because of something that happened when they were 5, and they're really reverting back to that 5-year-old. And I never made that wounding connection before. There was never any reason to really look at it that way. So interesting.
What I'm going to say is I lost it. Oh, crap. It was something about some people are going to say, well, that's what it was. Well, but I inherited alcoholism. It's in my genes, so it didn't matter. Or what does it matter what happened in my childhood because I have this gene? Well, it matters because you, or does or doesn't, depending on how you. So I'm not an alcoholic. It's actually in my family, a lot of it. Mari-Lyn and I have had these conversations. I drank to not have to think about my childhood, but because I didn't have that alcohol gene, for some reason it skipped me in my family, but I didn't, so I didn't become an alcoholic. But it's the same, whether you are or you're not, you're drinking because of that. And some of you, unfortunately, happen to have that gene that just grab a hold of it, or however that, that works. Does that make sense? Did I make any sense at all?
Well, it did make sense. So alcoholism, and I don't want to make this about alcoholism,
and it's okay if we do.
Alcoholism is not one size fits all.
No.
That would be like saying cancer is cancer.
Right. And no.
There are so many different types of cancer, levels of cancer.
Yes.
Cancer sucks, by the way.
Yes.
And there are different types and levels of alcoholism. And
yes.
Some of you may not believe that, but I've proven it to myself. And
yes,
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it because it is true.
Yeah,
it is true. Yes. My variety of alcoholism, I had a choice, and I knew I had a choice. And I can remember early on making the choice. I'm going to be an alcoholic.
Wow.
I
have not heard that.
No, you haven't. I don't know that I've ever told anybody this. I was in so much pain as a teenager that I remember thinking, okay, I'm just going to become an alcoholic and somebody is going to save me.
Oh.
Somebody's going to love me enough to save me. Now, I didn't actually become an active alcoholic until I was, I don't know, in my 30s. Okay. But I tried as a young adult. Okay. I just said I tried. In my brain, I tried.
Yes.
Because had I really tried, I would have been successful.
You decided to really try.
If I had really tried, I'd have been successful.
Yeah.
So in a sense, I made that conscious decision. It just took me a long time to, bring it to fruition. Yeah. But there are some alcoholics that they don't have that choice.
Right.
It
grabs them
over.
60. Grabs them. They take one drink at a football game.
Yep.
And
game over.
Game over. Yeah. They're often
game over. Yeah.
There's another thing I want to bring up too. I know we've talked about it, but it's worth repeating, is that I know, because we've had people like this, clients and so forth, they'll say, I had a great childhood. I have no trauma from my childhood. at all. I don't know what you girls are talking about. Like, they really did not see it whatsoever. Mine, it's super clear. There's no way around it. Like, you can look in there and see all the places.
I think I said
that. Yours is not as clear cut. It's not. And
I think I said that to you. I had a great childhood.
It's very possible. I don't remember that, but I could see where you would say that, because you really did. I mean, there were a lot of really, so
I did, but I was so traumatized.
Yes. And
so
everyone, and when you think about it, when we have children, we really don't start seriously, like the real, and I know people hate when I say this, it doesn't mean you can't start healing young, but until you're mid 40s, 50s, the real deep stuff doesn't get healed until then. And doesn't mean you can't start the and I hope you do start the process, and you start, and it's going to be a lot easier road, believe me, than.
But there is a reason for that. I mean, we can't heal something until we realize how it's affecting us.
Yes.
We don't realize that it's wounding until we've gone through that.
Yes. And the wisdom of life. There's a lot of wisdom that just comes with life.
Yeah.
Just really comes with life.
With that wisdom comes clarity and the ability to, you talked about this earlier, about being that fly on the wall.
Yes.
In your own situation. Of stepping back and looking at it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it does take life experience, life wisdom to be able to do that, to separate yourself, to be able to do that.
Yes. And there are exercises that you can do. There are meditations and so forth, where you can take where you can actually be a fly on the wall, I guess would be a good, maybe we should do a, I'm going to say this and then people are going to hold us to it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Do a meditation for our channel of helping people take a step back and be that fly on the wall. That would be a beautiful meditation. I'm going to write that down.
So
to help, because it is very helpful when you're in the middle. Sometimes, I mean, if you're really deep in your pity party, you just got to give yourself a little bit of time. But there are plenty of situations, Mari-Lyn and I've been in many a time, when, because of all the healing that we've done, and we are able to go, oh boy, okay, I think I need to take a step back here, and I
am in it.
Yes. But it's a really, so to break those habits, we first have to see them.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you have to even realize that you're in a pity party right now. Yes.
Yep.
And I don't know how many times I've texted Mari-Lyn, like, I am so grossed out by myself right now, because I
have messaged you probably more times than that.
I am so in it, and that's gross.
Don't talk to me. I'm in a pity party for one.
Yes, and then we laugh at each other, which is always, such good friends. I'm such a good friend. I laugh at her, and but we all know what it's like. We all know what it's like to be in it, and when you finally get to that point where you're just tired of being tired, you're just sick of being sick.
So, if you ever wonder if you're in a pity party,
yes,
think about how sick of yourself you are.
That's
an indicator.
Yes.
And then think about the verbiage you're using towards yourself.
Yes, absolutely. That's a huge one. What is the verbiage?
If you are bad-mouthing yourself,
yes,
pretty much you are in a pity party. Now, if you are constructively evaluating your behavior.
Ooh, that's good. Yes. Ooh. Yes. Because there's a fine line between taking responsibility and beating yourself up.
And beating yourself up. There's a fine line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and the verbiage is a really good way to tell that, because if you are being mean, in a pity party.
Yes.
Or
if you're
or if you're a victim.
It never works out for, I don't know why. What am I doing?
Why can't I catch a break? Why does this always happen?
I just want to shove something in my ear or my eye or something, because that's where I don't understand. As soon as you start saying, I don't understand.
Oh, you understand plenty.
It's time to check yourself.
Yeah. But really, how sick of yourself are you? That's a great one.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and that has, we go there a lot.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm so sick of myself. Help me.
Now, here's something too. As you heal, as you go through the layers, you do learn to laugh. Like, we're laughing at ourselves right now. And this is honest, and it's true. It is real. And this is what we do even when we're in the middle of it. When we're in the middle of that pity party, and one of us says something, and we realize that we're just being gross, and we'll just start laughing. And that is so helpful. That laughter raises your vibration. Yes.
And it can clear away some of the clutter that keeps you from seeing the reality.
Yeah. Yes. And I also want to point this out. We can't do it alone. Sorry. Nope. Sorry. This is not a one-man show.
No.
At all. This is not a solo journey.
Not at all.
We've talked about before. We all need help. And sometimes that help does not come in the form of a friend. We've all had that too. If you have a friend, if you have that friend that jumps in the deep end with you and wallows with you, they are not helping you at all.
No.
Not even a little.
Not even a little.
That's not. And we all need friends like that, right? We all wish we had what is it? The Sex and the City, the girlfriends, the four, and they all kind of whatever.
Oh.
Never seen it. Never seen it. Oh, just four really good friends, but they, one of them has a bad date, and they all pile on the date like it's, that kind of thing. And sure, that's nice once in a while, and everyone needs that sometimes. But when it's a real something, when there's something really coming up, you need someone to be honest with you. A therapist, a healer of some sort, a friend that's going to be honest and not brutal. We also have those two people in our lives. That's usually family members. I swear that can be just brutal as hell. Yeah.
Yes, I was going to say sometimes.
Yes.
I'm still going to say it.
Yes, please.
Sometimes brutal honesty is helpful.
Yes, but you can say it kinder. And I say that to myself, because sometimes I will blurt things out. I am more blunt at times, and it's not always helpful. And you know that because you have been on the receiving end of it. You have been on the receiving end, and then that hits my shame and my wounding. And then I feel just awful because it'll trigger the hell out of her.
It's true.
What happens is, though, we try to remember who we are, why we're here, what the bigger purpose is, and we come back around with each other, and we have those tough conversations. I don't think I've ever had tougher conversations than I have with you.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah.
Never had the tough conversations that we've had,
where you have to literally spit the words out like spirits behind you, like smacking you on the head, trying to get the words out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Because it's hard, because that's part of wounding too. Part of wounding is not being able to speak. And speak what's the truth. Speaking truth is, everybody has a hard time with that. And you do not think you do, people. You're shaking your head. I know. Stop that. Because I know when it comes down to it, you do. We all do. And speaking truth about how we're feeling. Speaking truth about how we got hurt. Yeah. And why. And then speaking truth about taking responsibility. Yes. And that happens. Yes. Both things generally happen for both sides of the party. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Conversation at one point or another. Yep. I am learning. I'm going to say I'm learning that, brutal honesty doesn't have to be brutal. Right. You can have brutal honesty with kindness. Yes. And I think brutal honesty comes from wounding too. I mean, it could be my wounding. I'm trying to say something and it just flies out and I'm hurt or I'm triggered. And so then it comes from there. Because your first reaction is, you said this and it hurt me. Well, okay, let's look at that. Let's look at the why. Yes, you said something that I got triggered by, but is that really your fault? Or, because you can't control me. I only control. Right. Right. It's absolute wounding. Yeah. Can we back up for a second? Sure. And back to the phrase brutal honesty. Yes. So I'm going to write that down. I think I don't like that term. Okay. Because you're absolutely right. When it's brutal honesty, it is said brutally. Yes. I mean, yes. I mean to scream at you. And yes. I think of brutal honesty as the hard truth, as that difficult honesty. Okay. But I think there's a difference, because I'm brutal honest. Sometimes that's because I want to try to hurt somebody. Because it's brutal. It is. So I have somehow wanted to dismiss the brutality of brutal honesty. Sure. And I was raised in brutal honesty. I was raised that way. Oh, my family was, they were nasty mean. Yes. And they said things, they were being brutally honest. And I think it's the honest. For me, it's the word honest, because are you being honest? No, you're just being brutal. So now that I'm thinking about it, you have a hard time with the word brutal. I have with honest. It's like, F you, you're not being honest. Well, in a way you are. You're expressing how hurt you are. So that part's honest, but the verbiage you're using, that brutalness, to hurt me as much as you are hurt right now. Right. Yes. So that's a rough term. Well, it really is a rough term, because where that one came from. I think it came directly from what you just said. Using honesty as a way to hurt someone else. Yeah. Yeah. And it's honesty, is it? Not, even if what you're saying is true, the verbiage used makes it not honest. Yes. Yes. Agreed. Ooh. Yeah. Thank you. Yes. True. Yeah. Now that's true. That is truth. Very interesting. Yeah. Whew. Man, wounding is something. Yes. Wounding bites, but that's, you know, that's why it's hard being human, because that's why we're here. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And we are never not wounded. Good grief, Mari-Lyn.
Yeah, but yes, you're right.
Couldn't I have just said we always have wounding?
Yes, we always have more layers.
Yeah.
Yes. And as we know, because we talked about it, there's that crazy underground garage too that we didn't know. We thought we were at the bottom of that wounding. Yep. And then we find out, oh, the underground
crazy underground garage. And then when you get to the basement,
man,
of that crazy underground garage.
Yes, been there too.
Yeah. Those basements are brutal.
Yes.
They are brutal. But they're necessary.
Yeah.
And when you realize that that's where you are, for me, it's like, it's almost like I realize it and it's like, oh, okay, this is going to be over soon.
Yes. Yes. Isn't that nice?
Because the deeper you go, it's like the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you choose to just grab onto it. But
and there are a lot of I don't know what we call them, disorders and stuff like depression or anxiety, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's like a plethora, right? Once you, and this is honest. Once you start your healing and you really get in there and you're more honest and you learn how to, there is a learning curve with taking responsibility. There is a learning curve with looking at yourself and being honest. There really is. And once you do that and you start releasing from your physical body, you're releasing from all those pieces that we talked about, those disorders really do start to go away. They really do start to. I'm not saying it happens overnight. No one, please don't misunderstand me.
No. And it's not a given that they're going to go away, right?
But no, it could. But boy, can you lessen them.
Woo, they lessen in severity.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Proof.
Yep, both of us are proof of that. Yeah, absolutely. And many people, and I've watched many people go through that, and you know, sometimes we need, both Mari-Lyn and I have been on medications for different things, and I'm glad it was there. I'm glad I had that help. What I didn't like, however, was being told you're going to have to be on this for the rest of your life. This is something you're always going to. That I did not appreciate at the time. I didn't know that I wasn't going to appreciate that.
Right.
But now I look back and think, wow, that was a disservice that someone did. That was really a disservice. They really believed it. But it was a disservice.
So there's ignorance involved there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say it's ignorance by choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there is a lot of information out there. Yes. Which is another thing. Just because someone is a therapist or has letters behind their name of whatever it is, does not mean they know everything. And we need to take control of our own well-being, our own health.
Absolutely.
We need to pay attention. And if something doesn't feel right when you're speaking to someone, and that person, something they're saying doesn't feel right, you need to go with that. You need to now, sometimes it's triggering, it's wounding, but you'll know the difference. Yeah. Yes.
Eventually.
Yes. Because I've had some really crappy therapists and I like, okay, I'm out. Whatever you're saying, I'm not going with. And I've also had a counselor who triggered the shit out of me, which was good. And I kept going back.
Right.
So I knew that was the best thing because he was down and deep to the deep stuff.
And I don't care who you're talking to, if it's, a paid professional, if it's a member of the clergy, if it's me, if something is said that does not fit for you, it's okay.
Yes.
Don't make it fit.
No.
Because I will speak for myself. even though I do my very best not to include my ego when I'm working with somebody, my interpretation of what Spirit's telling me still has to come through me.
Yes. There's still a human component there.
There is. And my interpretation just might not be right for your situation, and that's okay. And I always urge people to tell me, because if I say something that doesn't fit, we can work together so you can find what does fit.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a really important piece, is letting go of what doesn't fit, but being able to find what does fit.
Yes. Yes. And there's that sweet spot in there. There's that when you hear truth, you know it. And how that lands for you. As we always say, it lands.
It lands.
Yes.
I love it when people say, I heard you say that and I knew what that meant.
Yes. Or they'll say, as you would say, and then they'll repeat something. Yeah. Well, I hope this second half of our podcast made sense to the first half, because you guys don't know it, but there was some time in there. There was probably 30 minutes or so, maybe longer, because everything just kind of poof went out, and then we had to, fix it and then come back. And so hopefully this podcast wasn't too discombobulated.
I hope not.
Yeah.
What did we even start out talking about?
I don't remember. I really don't.
I don't either.
Yeah. I do remember the last part was about fear or something. And so we came back in with that.
With the fear.
Yeah. And I guess we could have gone back and listened to the part, but that just would have taken longer. So we wanted to get in there and get this.
Yeah. And whatever we did in this second half is exactly what needed to be talked about.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got no doubt.
No. But I think this is a good place to stop. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah. It feels good. This time. So. This is. Well, everyone, thank you so much. We just absolutely adore all of you. We're just honored that you'd want to listen. And please send us suggestions for topics.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Yep.
The
we
website
get a lot of paranormal stuff, but as far as like spiritual, we don't. Spiritual and healing. We love to talk spirit. Like, you have big spirit questions? Send them on in.
Send them. Questions about healing?
Yeah.
Send them in.
Yes. Whatever platform you want to use.
Yeah. So the email is through tcseverydayspsychics.com.
Yep.
And we
have not fixed it yet. Or we keep saying we're going to change
it. Nothing.
Yeah, we've been a little busy lately.
Nothing's new on
and I'm sticking to that. lie. We've been so busy that we haven't been able to.
Oh, but that's not a lie.
Well, we've been busy. We could find the time, but we choose to,
We choose to self-care.
Oh, I like that. Yes, we're choosing to self-care.
Because we do.
We do. Yeah.
Try.
Yeah. Self-care is very important. And sometimes self-care is just sitting on the sofa and watching mindless TV.
Yes.
Don't beat yourself up over that. Now, if you find yourself like you're at day 5, day 6, day 7, and you're still doing that, you're bypassing something. But if you just take an afternoon and just do that, that's okay. That's really okay.
It is.
That is self-care. We have to turn everything off sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
What I was going to say is gone. So I'm just going to say.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You time, and I'll
see you next time. Yes. All right. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.